Have you ever wondered, in the vast, diverse landscape of India, which state faces the most severe issues related to prostitution? It's a question that might have crossed your mind, considering the sheer size and cultural diversity of this country. India, with its myriad of traditions, languages, and socio-economic conditions, is a melting pot where different issues manifest in different ways. Among these issues, one that stands out yet often remains under the radar is prostitution. This video aims to shed light on this often overlooked issue, touching upon its prevalence and the factors contributing to it. Prostitution in India is not just an isolated phenomenon, but a complex, multifaceted problem deeply intertwined with the country's socio-economic fabric. As we move forward, we'll delve into specific data and facts, exploring which Indian states have a more pronounced culture of prostitution. So let's embark on this journey of understanding and awareness. Stay tuned as we delve into the harsh realities of prostitution in different Indian states. Prostitution in India is a complex issue driven by a variety of societal, economic, and cultural factors. Let's delve into this intricate web to understand the prevalence of the sex trade in the country. India, home to over 1 billion people, is unfortunately also home to an estimated 2 million sex workers. This figure, while staggering, tells only a part of the story. The average age at which individuals enter prostitution is around the tender age of 15, highlighting the deeply entrenched issue of child exploitation. The reasons behind entering the sex trade are as diverse as the country itself. Poverty, however, stands out as a leading cause. For many, prostitution is seen as a means of survival, providing a source of income in a country where the divide between the rich and the poor is stark. It's a harsh reality that many are forced to endure. Other factors include trafficking and coercion. It's estimated that thousands of women and children are trafficked within India each year for the purposes of sexual exploitation. The victims often come from marginalized communities and are lured with promises of employment, only to find themselves trapped in the clutches of the sex trade. Cultural practices also play a role. In certain communities, intergenerational prostitution is prevalent, where daughters follow their mothers into the trade. This practice, deeply rooted in tradition, further complicates efforts to combat prostitution. The plight of sex workers in India is further exacerbated by societal stigma and the lack of legal protection. While prostitution itself is not illegal in India, associated activities such as soliciting and running brothels are, creating a legal grey area that often leaves sex workers vulnerable to abuse and exploitation. Understanding the prevalence of prostitution in India is crucial to addressing the issue effectively. It's a multifaceted problem that requires a comprehensive approach, taking into account the societal, economic, and cultural factors that drive individuals into the sex trade. Now that we understand the broader picture, let's examine which states face the most significant challenges. Different states in India have unique challenges when it comes to prostitution. As we delve deeper into this issue, let's take a comparative look at several states across the country. India's most populous state, Uttar Pradesh, has the highest number of sex workers, a fact that is largely due to its sheer size and population density. However, it's important to note that the presence of sex workers is not solely a numbers game. It's also about the prevalence and acceptance of the sex trade within the society. On the eastern side of the country, we find West Bengal, which is known for its infamous red light district, Sonagachi in Kolkata. This district is considered one of the largest in Asia, housing an estimated 10,000 sex workers. The prominence of such a district indicates a deep-rooted and complex issue tied to socio-economic factors, including poverty and lack of education. Moving towards the heart of India, we find Madhya Pradesh. This state has been associated with alarming rates of child prostitution, particularly within certain communities where this practice has been normalized over generations. This situation reflects a distressing reality where the innocence of childhood is stolen, calling for urgent attention and action. Down south, Andhra Pradesh is another state to look at. Known for its high literacy rate and progressive policies, it still grapples with the issue of prostitution. The state has a considerable number of sex workers, largely concentrated in the city of Vijayawada. This shows that even in regions with access to education and resources, the problem persists, hinting at deeper societal issues at play. In the western part of the country, Maharashtra, especially its capital, Mumbai, houses one of the most recognized red light districts in the country, Kamathipura. With its history dating back to colonial times, Kamathipura reflects a systemic problem that has been ingrained in the city's fabric for centuries. Lastly, we turn our attention to the northeast, specifically Manipur. Despite its relatively small size, Manipur has been grappling with a high incidence of sex work, often linked to drug trafficking and insurgency issues. This highlights the multifaceted nature of prostitution, where it's not merely a social issue, but also intersects with crime and political instability. In this comparative analysis, it becomes clear that the issue of prostitution in India is not confined to a particular region or state. It's a pervasive problem that cuts across geographical boundaries, social strata, and cultural norms. Each state, with its unique set of challenges, contributes to the larger picture, painting a complex and disconcerting image of the issue at hand. As we can see, the issue of prostitution is more prevalent in certain states, but why is this the case? As we move forward, let's try to unravel the underlying factors that contribute to this issue, and most importantly, what can be done to address it. The prevalence of prostitution in certain states is not a coincidence, but rather the result of a multitude of underlying factors. Let's delve into these factors, shall we? First, we have poverty. It's an undeniable fact that economic hardship often acts as a catalyst, pushing individuals into sex work. When survival becomes a daily struggle, people are sometimes compelled to resort to means they wouldn't ordinarily consider. In many instances, the desperation that stems from poverty leaves little room for choice. Next, we have the issue of education, or rather the lack thereof. Education opens doors, it broadens horizons, and most importantly, it equips individuals with the skills required to secure stable, dignified employment. Unfortunately for many in India, access to quality education remains a dream. This lack of education often leads to a cycle of poverty and desperation, which in turn can lead to a life of sex work. Furthermore, the societal attitudes towards sex work significantly contribute to its prevalence in certain states. In some parts of India, sex work is deeply entrenched in the societal fabric due to historical and cultural reasons. This normalization and acceptance of sex work in certain communities not only perpetuates the cycle, but also makes it harder to break away from. Lastly, we must consider the role of gender inequality. In a society where women often find themselves at a disadvantage, whether in terms of access to education, job opportunities, or societal standing, sex work can sometimes appear to be the only viable option. These factors are not isolated, but rather they intersect and overlap, creating a complex web that keeps individuals trapped in the cycle of sex work. It's an incredibly complex issue with no easy solutions. However, understanding these factors is the first step towards addressing them. Understanding these factors is crucial to addressing the issue of prostitution in India. As we've seen, prostitution in India is a complex issue that requires a multifaceted approach. The prevalence of this issue varies across different states, each with its unique set of circumstances, contributing factors and challenges. From the bustling lanes of Maharashtra to the quiet corners of Karnataka, the echoes of this social predicament are heard loud and clear. It's crucial to understand that prostitution isn't merely a byproduct of poverty or lack of education. It's a layered issue, deeply rooted in gender inequality, societal norms, and a failure to provide adequate opportunities for all. We've taken a deep dive into the complexities of this issue, and it's evident that there isn't a one-size-fits-all solution. Each state, each community, and each individual involved needs a tailored approach that addresses their specific needs and circumstances. While it's essential to combat prostitution, it's equally important to ensure that the rights and dignity of sex workers are respected. Many organizations are doing commendable work in this area, providing support, education, and rehabilitation to those affected. It's here that we can make a difference. By supporting these organizations, we help them to continue their vital work. Whether it's through donations, volunteering, or simply spreading awareness, every little bit counts. Remember, change starts with understanding. Let's not shy away from discussing these issues, but instead let's engage in open, honest conversations. Let's challenge the stigma associated with prostitution and work towards a society where everyone, regardless of their circumstances, is treated with respect and dignity. Let's not just be bystanders in this fight, but active participants. Let's educate ourselves, let's educate others, and let's make a difference. By understanding the reality of prostitution in India, we can all play a part in addressing this issue and creating a better future for those affected. Our collective efforts can pave the way for a more inclusive, understanding, and compassionate society. Let's take that step forward today.